Hi, Vito. Um, Welcome to the European Cardano community. Thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Why
Marcus.
don't you tell everybody who you are and what vault3 is about?
Absolutely, I'm happy to be here. So I'm Vito Melchionna. I'm the co-SPO of Grenada Pool together with La Petite Data. And I'm very excited to present vault3 to you guys. It's a brand new product that we have been working on in the past month. So it's basically the Web3 data gating service. So I have a small presentation here. So let's get started.
Perfect.
All right, so basically we identify these issues in the space. There is an existing data gating protocols on Cardano, which means we could use Cardano wallets and native tokens as keys to access confidential content, unlocking new use cases. I will go through that after, like what kind of use cases are relevant here. Also, there is limited control, like file sharing services, and here I'm referring to Web2, don't offer custom access policies, which are conditions, to share confidential files with communities, which means if you're using Dropbox, WeTransfer, there is no way for you to actually share data with large audiences with conditions, which means making sure that they are your supporters, they are your fans, they're your community, and they are part of your, let's say, ecosystem. And finally, there is limited interoperability. Sorry.
Same for me with that word.
No worries. And this means existing Web3 data gating solutions are constrained to a single blockchain, which means there are a couple of solutions kind of offering the same token gating approach, but they're just constrained to their chains. So our solution is quite simple. It's a decentralized and cross-platform data gating service that offers customized access policies. So just to go through, with this solution, you can enhance Cardano's communities, which means you can leverage blockchain encryption to unlock real file utility and new use cases using native tokens and wallets. So as an example here, imagine you're an artist, you have sold your NFTs on a record store, like the one that Maker built with Neum and 6city, and basically you can now use vault3 to share pre-releases of new music drops with your fans first before like public them or upload them to the main like streaming platforms like Spotify or YouTube or whatever. You can also share personal notes with your fans. You can also raffle concert tickets as QRs using this file sharing solution that is token gated. So yeah, it's definitely it's going to open up a lot of doors in terms of use cases. Then we have dynamic access policies, which means you can customize diverse access policies or conditions for large audiences to access and download confidential files. So this is not only constrained to, let's say, NFTs or fungible tokens. Like you can add a policy ID and say a minimum amount of these tokens that have to be held by the wallet that is accessing this data. But you can also add different things like a wide list of wallets. You can also add stake pools. And for instance, this information is just for delegators of this stake pool. And in the future, we want to also integrate social media as well, like for Web2 use cases as well. And interoperability, basically by enabling cross-platform data gating, we can share encrypted files with community across different chains and even Web2. As I mentioned, if we also integrate like social media like Twitter, Discord, this can be even extended to these use cases, and they're not being covered by file sharing systems. So we have three audiences in mind. First is privacy conscious individuals, which means you can share files while protecting your data with other peers using Web3. For communities, you can share confidential content or exclusive content to your rewards to give them extra value. And you can boost your growth with policy-gated giveaways or raffles, which means you can create some sort of giveaway and just your holders have access to this. For enterprises, of course, you can share exclusive content with large audiences and customers, and you can boost your marketing campaigns using these same principles. The user journey is very, very simple. So we want to build an experience that is as smooth as Web2 services like WeTransfer. And basically for creators is quite simple. You just upload your files, add the access policy. Here you have a graph how it's going to look like. You just add the policy ID, the quantity that the holders have to have in their wallets, and then you need to connect your wallet and pay. Of course, this feature is going to be for free as soon as we release our first version. But this is, of course, is going to be adapted as soon as we are ready to implement our business model. And finally, you can just share the access link with your communities. Receivers just have to connect their wallets. Vault3 will check if they fulfill the conditions like set up by the creator, and then they will be able to download the exclusive data. So we're addressing a market size, we're addressing, the enterprise file sharing and synchronization market. And this is a very, very good market because it has gotten a lot of growth potential. It has a CAGR index of 26%, according to a couple of studies that we researched. And basically, this market is expected to be worth $18 billion by 2030. So there's going to be a lot of room for innovation and new players entering the space. And we believe Web3 is part of it as well. And basically, our business model is quite simple. As mentioned, for the first stage of our MVP or main product, we will offer everything for free so that people can try out this technology, understand what are the use cases, what's the power behind it. And afterwards, we will implement a pay-as-you-go model after our MVP version so that we can prove of market construction and also get a grasp on the costs and where we have to develop our product further. And finally, we will go for a monthly tier pricing, which is fantastic also for sustainable business models, and especially for enterprises and communities. So basically, we will still offer a free basic usage that includes 2 GB storage, 1 access policy, and up to 4 GB in data transfer, which is bandwidth, basically, how many people can download the exclusive data. The roadmap is quite simple. We want to launch our MVP on the Cardano network. Of course, we're also expecting ecosystem grants here with Catalyst. We're also taking care of, let's say, our brand positioning and securing strategic partnerships. That's very, very important at the very beginning, also to prove traction. Then we will go for multi-chain integrations, integrating other wallets or other chains to also, let's say, access different chains. We want IPFS integrations so that our data is stored in a decentralized manner. And finally, we will probably go for a pre-seed or seed round, depending on what are the results on the Catalyst proposals. The last 2 milestones are basically product refinements, more capital to escalate our operations, and finally, even offering our own IPFS hosting service to set costs. We're also in talks with other partner solutions, so we will see if this roadmap adapts with time. Our team is 3 people at the moment. So myself, Vito Melchionna, Aaron Schmidt is also a developer. He's a data science engineer, and he will be our CTO. And then we have Carolina Isler, La Petite Ada. She doesn't need an introduction, I believe. She's gonna help us with the marketing side, with the strategic partnership side, and also she's gonna make sure that we're close to our users. As she is a content creator herself, we want to offer all the use cases that we can for them. And finally, our Catalyst proposals for Fund 10 are just 2. Our main proposal is under the challenge products and integrations. This will include our work in product MVP for communities and individuals. It is going to be a functional, let's say, first version, as mentioned, for free. And we are requesting like 140,000 euros to build this. Our team is based in Switzerland, so this is why our costs are a little bit higher than other countries. However, this ADA equivalent that we calculated also has like a buffer in case of ADA prices going down, because we want to be responsible and sustainable with the development. Also, we have an integration proposal for building on NMaker Challenge, and this is basically a plugin for NMaker Studio. We're also very excited about that, and we are definitely our mission here, or let's say value that we're bringing to the NMaker ecosystem, is that creators can easily use NMaker Studio to add real life utility to their NFT collections with just a couple of clicks. So this is a 11,250 euro proposal. So this is going to be 75,000 ADA. Yeah, so this is vault3. This is what we're envisioning, and we believe it's got a lot of potential for the ecosystem. We are also building with the thoughts in mind that we want mass adoption. So this could be a very interesting way to onboard as well companies, enterprises onto the Web3 space by offering these token gating features that the market of Web2 are not offering. So yes, if you have any question, I'm happy to answer them.
I think this sounds really interesting, and I in particular like the approach that you are taking with IPFS, because it doesn't promise a 100% storage solution, and that you want to tackle it and say, no, we want to take it responsible and we provide our own solution at the end, which will be decentralized, I guess.
Exactly.
Could you explain for people who are not close to the field, why our existing data solutions, storage solutions, are not confidential, and how the tokenizing will be having an advantage over the passwords?
Yeah, so basically, if you read the terms and conditions of any file sharing solution, you are giving away your data. So this is basically let's say, the business model behind this. Of course, most solutions offer like a tier subscription for enterprises. But if you're an individual and you're sharing files, this is the price that you're paying. So this means by using Web3 solutions, then you're, of course, paying for your privacy. It's also important to mention that if we are storing our data on IPFS, it's not quite confidential from the, let's say, compliance perspective. Okay, so this is why we're also in contact with Iagon. They also offer this, let's say, cloud services with compliance and confidentiality, and they even offer their own network. So they have been very kind to offer us the technology as well. So we are in talks with them. But definitely, this is a very, very unique, let's say, approach to leverage the features of Web3 and to share or to engage with whole communities using NFTs as keys or even fungible tokens. So you could say, like, from the also security perspective, this data is going to be encrypted and stored in a decentralized way. So it's that we're not the owners of these storages. They're in decentralized storages like IPFS or even the Iagon network or ecosystem. So it's going to be like, if we cease to exist, people are still going to be able to basically access this data. However, we do have one limitation, and these are the encryption keys. Okay, so the problem is, and this is also a problem that actually Book.io is also having, like, they do the same approach. They store the books, the content in IPFS encrypted, but they manage the keys to encrypt this data, which means if they cease to exist, then no one is going to be able to unencrypt this. And this also represents a risk, because if you manage the keys, then you have to also you're responsible for the cybersecurity, let's say, aspect of managing this. So what we are planning to do is we want to either use Midnight. We will see what Midnight will deliver to the Cardano ecosystem, but if they offer key management solutions, this will be perfect to actually call vault3 a trustless solution. And this is what we are aiming for in the future. Of course, for the first stages, we are managing the keys just like other solutions are doing as well. But the long-term vision is to let these keys be managed by even a smart contract, so that is totally private and confidential.
Which makes totally sense, starting centralized and then going out, because you want to make sure that you can move fast. How will you tackle the recurrent payment issue? I've seen that you going on a build yearly tier, which obviously goes into the crypto payment cycle. Do you have an idea if, like you mentioned IG before, they say they have something in the pipeline, or will you develop your own recurring payment solution with that?
Yes, I mean, at the moment, as mentioned, like for the first step, we want to do this in feasible and sustainable steps. And the first step is definitely pay as you go, which means it's a similar model as, for instance, AimMaker uses, which means if you're minting something, you pay for it. In this case, we want to do the same. If you're a creator, you want to add extra utility to your NFTs and reward your community and holders, then you just have to pay, let's say, for the data you're uploading and for the bandwidth, which means the bandwidth represents how many people can download this data, because this represents, let's say, in the backend, decryption computing, and this costs. So we need to cover these costs in order to make the whole service sustainable. And this is why we're going for this first, because we also need to, since it's a new service, we need to prove the traction of the solution, and we also need to optimize things in our backend. However, the end goal is to make these subscription models, because it's one of the best models at the moment. I would say it's a very hot way of charging for a service. And of course, here also one of the challenges of charging in crypto is volatility. So what happens if we charge for a whole year subscription in Cardano or in any, let's say, crypto-based stablecoin like Jet, but what happens if the price plummets until then? So this will be unsustainable for us. And what happens if the price goes up? Then the user loses money. So there are gonna be some challenges there. So I'm really hoping if IOG has a clever solution to solve this, it would be fantastic. However, we know a couple of very good Web2 solutions that allow you to easily integrate like subscription models on solutions, but creators will have to pay in fiat. So it's kind of a trade-off that we have to meet at the moment, because we don't have these things figured out. Like the ecosystem is in a too early stage in this matter, but this is the vision long term.
Yeah, I agree. I think using fiat services in the beginning will be easier for onboarding users that are not used to volatility. Well, while you have crypto users, they're used to it and might just look back at a certain time and say, "Oh, that was a bummer," but the service is good, so I'm good with that. So yeah, that's a good solution. That's a good approach, I think. Final questions. How would you say to start as a user? And you also pointed out in your proposals that even SPOs will benefit from that or can participate and support you. What are your suggestions there? Do you have already a fixed path for that somebody could follow if they want to know more? And where would they find that information? Or how would they contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, we already have a coming soon page. It is vault3.io. And here we have, let's say, a call to action to put your email if you want to get the latest developments on the project. And we also have our white paper there. So if people want to know more into the details of the solution, it's quite simple. It's a very, let's say, short white paper, because it's not a protocol per se, but rather a small solution to bridge file sharing with Web3. And in terms of communication, we have a Telegram channel, and we have also a Twitter account where people can ask their questions. I think the latest news are constantly being shared on our Twitter channel. And I think this is the best channel to get involved and get to know more about what's going on with the solution.
Cool. We have those links down below the video then, so everybody can follow up on these. And yeah, sounds great. We wish you a lot of luck, a lot of success, and hope to see you again to one of our events.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marcus, for the space and the invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.